Harley-Davidson dealers are under fire, and it's not looking good. Buyers are coming forward, shocked, furious, and ready to talk. And now, the truth has finally been exposed. This isn't just bad business. It's betrayal on two wheels. Stories have surfaced about what customers went through, and what started as a dream ride has turned into a nightmare for many. The fallout is real, and the damage is spreading fast. Join us as we uncover the secrets Harley dealers don't want you to know. The rise of Harley-Davidson. Harley-Davidson, one of the most recognized names in motorcycling, has been around since 1903. Founded in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, it managed to stay alive through some of the toughest times in history, including the Great Depression. Over the years, it changed hands, faced setbacks in quality and finances, and pushed through stiff competition from across the world. Yet, it built something more than just a brand. It built a culture. With clubs, fan events, and even a dedicated museum, Harley-Davidson became more than just motorcycles. It became a way of life. For decades, Harley focused on big, heavy motorcycles with engines larger than 700 cc. These bikes had air-cooled engines and a classic design. Over time, the company updated its line, adding the VRS-C series in 2002 and the more compact street models in 2014 to reach younger and more diverse riders. Factories now build these machines in multiple locations across the United States, Brazil, and Thailand. And the company sells more than bikes. The Harley logo is on jackets, hats, coffee mugs, and even video games. In the early days, Harley-Davidson worked hard to give its motorcycles a clean and respectable image. The company wanted people to see motorcycling as something proper and well-mannered. Advertisements often showed women dressed in elegant clothes, holding parasols, and men in tidy formal suits. These ads were designed to attract customers who saw motorcycles not as wild machines, but as something classy. One of the early models, released in 1906, was promoted for its soft, smooth sound. It came with a muffler that made the bike quieter than others at the time. That was something Harley-Davidson was proud of. But everything began to change in the 1960s. Around that time, Honda launched a big campaign to show that their motorcycles were friendly, easygoing, and perfect for everyday people. Their ads showed clean-cut riders and happy families. It was a sharp contrast to the rough and rugged image that some associated with motorcycling. Instead of copying Honda's approach, Harley-Davidson took a different route. They decided to go in the opposite direction. The company leaned into the rebellious side of motorcycling. They started highlighting the freedom, toughness, and edge that came with riding their bikes. With the release of the 1971 FX Super Glide, they embraced the custom-built chopper style and the bold look that many riders were creating on their own. Harley-Davidson began to welcome the strong and independent image that many associated with bikers and motorcycle clubs. Their advertisements and styles started to match this vibe, making their brand stand out in a unique way. The idea of being a little rebellious, even anti-social, became part of the appeal. As the image of Harley-Davidson grew stronger, so did the sense of community around the brand. In 1983, the company formed the Harley Owners Group, also known as HOG. The goal was to bring Harley riders together and build a lifestyle around the motorcycles, not just sell bikes. HOG helped riders feel like they were part of something special. This move also gave the company new ways to make money. Members could buy exclusive items like jackets, patches, and other gear only available through the group. These tie-in products became very popular. Over time, HOG became a major part of Harley-Davidson's success. Many other motorcycle companies, and even brands outside the motorcycle world, tried to copy this idea by creating their own clubs. But none grew quite like HOG. Members of the group often spent a lot more on merchandise and events than other Harley owners. On average, they spent about 30% more on things like clothes, accessories, and tickets to Harley-sponsored events. By 1991, HOG was no longer just an American group. It expanded to other countries, starting with its first European rally in Cheltenham, England. From that point on, the group grew rapidly. Today, there are over 1 million members worldwide and more than 1,400 chapters. It has become the largest motorcycle club sponsored by a manufacturer anywhere in the world. Being part of HOG comes with benefits. Members can take part in planned group rides, get discounts on Harley products, enjoy lower insurance rates, and receive a special newsletter called HOG Tales. When someone buys a brand new Harley-Davidson, they are automatically given a 1-year membership to HOG. This approach helped Harley-Davidson create more than just a motorcycle company. It built a lifestyle and a loyal community of riders around the world who proudly wear the Harley name and everything it stands for. Trapped in a dream. Behind the success of Harley-Davidson lies a different story about the dealerships. This is where the dream of owning a Harley can slowly become a financial trap. Before things changed, walking into a dealership with some savings and a solid loan was enough. You could leave with a bike that meant something, a real piece of American freedom. But starting in the early 2010s, something began to shift. Prices started to rise, not because of major changes in the economy, but because dealerships realized how much people were willing to spend. Then the pandemic hit, and global supply chains broke down. Items that used to ship in days took months. Parts and materials were harder to find. While this was real, dealerships used it to their advantage. Shortages gave them a reason to raise prices even more, and they didn't stop there. They added new fees with names like market adjustment and made it sound like a normal response to rising demand. Fewer bikes on the showroom floor caused customers to panic. Salespeople used that fear, saying if you didn't buy today, you might not get the bike you wanted at all. That kind of pressure worked. People paid more than they should have, not because they wanted to, but because they felt they had no choice. And here's where things went deeper. Because once you agreed to the price, the real money game began. Most riders don't walk in with a suitcase full of cash. They finance. That's where the dealerships saw their biggest chance to profit. They didn't make their fortune from the price of the bike. The real money came from the interest, the loan terms, and the length of the contract. Instead of short-term loans with fair interest, buyers were pushed into 5 to 7-year plans. At first, it looked good. Payments of $200 or $300 a month felt achievable. But over time, those payments added up. A bike listed at $22,000 might cost nearly $40,000 by the end. Why? Interest rates over 8%, sneaky loan fees, and required insurance packages added cost on top of cost. Unfortunately, it didn't stop with the loans. Dealerships tacked on more charges, documentation fees, setup fees, delivery charges, burying them in the paperwork. Buyers signed without realizing how much extra they were paying. The sale felt like a win. In reality, it was the start of a long financial drain. This strategy hit hardest for younger riders and people with weaker credit. These were often the ones dreaming the biggest, hoping to join the Harley lifestyle. But instead of freedom, they got trapped. Their bikes dropped in value faster than their loans could catch up. Just 2 years in, many found themselves owing more than the bike was worth. They couldn't sell. They couldn't trade. They were stuck. And that's not by accident. A buyer in debt keeps coming back, not because of love for the brand, but because they're tied to the dealership that financed their ride. The promise of the open road, the excitement of the Harley experience, it all got lost under paperwork, payments, and fees. The real trick wasn't in the ride, it was in the deal. What started as a dream turned into a cycle of long payments and hidden costs. And it all worked, because dealerships spent years training people to accept it. High prices didn't shock anyone anymore. Fees seemed normal. Long loans felt like a gift. It was all planned. Harley-Davidson still builds iconic machines, and the rumble of a Harley engine still turns heads. But the road to owning one isn't what it used to be. The machine may be timeless, but the system built around it has changed, and not for the better. This isn't a story about motorcycles. It's a story about what happens when business stops caring about people and starts chasing profit at any cost. It's about how something meaningful can be used as bait, how loyalty can be turned into leverage, and how dreams once sold can become debts that take years to escape. The dealership scam exposed. Motorcycle buyers have learned the hard way that the sticker price is just the beginning. What looks like a good deal on paper often turns into a completely different number once you walk into a dealership. That first price is just bait. The real cost starts rising fast the moment you sit down to talk. It doesn't take long to figure out how it happens. Dealers add things, extra charges that sound official but don't reflect actual value. They're designed to squeeze more money from the buyer, and they do, adding thousands of dollars to the final bill without giving anything meaningful in return. And that's not where it ends. Once they have your interest, the upselling begins. Want to take that motorcycle home? Sure, but only if you agree to things you didn't ask for. Extended warranties with more fine print than coverage. Paint protection that's no more than a fancy wax. Accessories priced double what you would pay elsewhere. Pre-installed add-ons you didn't request but are now told you must pay for. Try saying no, and the deal might suddenly vanish. Some dealers even refuse to sell the bike unless you agree to all of it. Then there's the illusion of scarcity. Dealers will act like that new model you've been eyeing is a unicorn. Limited supply, high demand. They say you'd better hurry, or someone else will grab it. But behind closed doors, it's often a show. Inventories are hidden in storage. Bikes marked sold that were never purchased. A few missing units from the floor to create a sense of urgency. All designed to make you feel lucky just to be allowed to buy. The goal is simple. Make the buyer feel desperate, rushed, and willing to accept terms they wouldn't normally agree to. It works, though, for a while. But over time, riders started noticing the pattern. They talked, shared stories online, and compared notes. They started realizing they weren't alone. What followed wasn't a protest. People just stopped showing up. Sales didn't collapse overnight. But slowly, dealerships noticed fewer riders walking through the door. Fewer buyers willing to play the game. The strategy of inflating prices and forcing upsells lost its power. Riders didn't fight, they just waited. Instead of rushing into a bad deal, they looked elsewhere. The used market became a haven. There, a rider could find a well-kept bike that ran like new, often for half the price of a fresh one off the lot. There were no hidden fees, no fake shortages, and no pressure. Just the bike and a fair exchange. Many decided to skip the loans. They saved up, bought bikes outright, and avoided high-interest traps. Riders began buying from each other instead of dealers. Craigslist, Facebook Marketplace, and motorcycle forums became trusted places to find good deals without the hassle. And as more buyers turned away, dealerships started to feel it. Sales dropped as bikes sat untouched in showrooms. Suddenly, dealers were offering discounts again. Financing specials came back, but the damage had already been done. The fear was gone. The idea that dealerships held all the cards had been broken. People no longer felt rushed to buy. With rising costs everywhere and budgets stretched thin, motorcycles became a luxury, not a necessity. And when something isn't needed, people take their time deciding if it's even worth the effort. However, the betrayal didn't stop at the point of sale. It ran deeper, into the machines themselves. New bikes are often packed with tech. Touchscreens, electronics, sensors, all things that can break, require updates, or make simple repairs expensive and difficult. Many riders began to feel that modern motorcycles had lost their soul. They weren't built to be ridden. They were built to be sold. Soon, there was a shift back to older bikes. Older motorcycles don't need apps to run, nor do they need a computer update to start. They were made in a time when bikes were machines, not gadgets, and they last. A motorcycle with 15,000 miles still has years, maybe decades, left in it. That kind of value is hard to find in the modern showroom. and that's what made the used market grow even faster. Riders started choosing what made sense, not what they were told to buy. Meanwhile, there's also trust. Not the kind you sign for, but the kind you feel. Private sales between riders carry something dealers can't fake: honesty. When a rider sells a bike to another rider, there's no fake fees, no pressure to sign, no traps. Just cash, keys, and a handshake. That's what today's riders want. Not a sales pitch or a financing plan. Just a machine that runs, bought from someone who understands what riding is about. This was the reason why not everyone came back to the dealership. Some riders had enough and walked away for good. Too tired of the games? Too frustrated to keep caring? They left the scene completely, choosing peace over pressure. What remains is a new kind of riding culture, one that values freedom, honesty, and control. It's not loud and it's not exaggerated, but it's growing. One used bike at a time. The fallout begins. For many years, Harley-Davidson dealerships had it easy. Bikes would arrive and disappear almost instantly. People were eager to pay more than the price just to make sure they got one. There was a sense of excitement in the air, like owning a Harley made you part of an exclusive club. Dealerships barely had to try, the bikes sold themselves. Sadly, that time is over. Now, dealerships across the country are packed with bikes that no one's buying. It's not a slow season or a short-term dip. This is a major problem. What once made Harley special is now weighing dealerships down. Customers discovered the truth, and that's when the real trouble began. Bikes started piling up. Touring bikes, cruisers, trikes, models that once sold within days now sat waiting, like a decorative piece. Dealerships rely on loans to stock their floors, and those loans are growing. The longer the bikes sit, the more money dealers owe. Some dealers are buried in debt, holding onto motorcycles that drop in value every day. In some cities and towns, dealerships have started saying no to new deliveries. They can't afford to take more bikes they already know won't sell. A few years ago, the idea of a Harley shop turning away new inventory would have seemed crazy. But it's happening now, from major cities to small towns. The damage is spreading fast. In places like California, Florida, and Texas, inventory numbers are at all-time highs. In rural areas, the situation can be even worse. Smaller shops have fewer walk-ins, and every unsold bike hurts more. The illusion that Harley bikes were hard to get has vanished. For years, dealers worked hard to create that feeling of rarity. It only took a few months to destroy it. But even with bikes collecting dust, many dealerships won't lower their prices. Instead of offering real deals, some have started using aggressive tactics. Corporate leaders are calling more often, demanding results. Team morale is slipping, leading staff to quit. Some stores have already let people go or reduced working hours, while others are quietly hiring new employees to replace veterans who walked away. These are not signs of a thriving business. These are signs of a business trying to survive. And when a business is just trying to hang on, it often starts cutting corners. At some locations, salespeople are being told to push harder than ever. The goal is no longer to help a customer find the right bike. It's to close the deal at any cost. New workers are trained more on sales tricks than on customer service. They're told how to keep people from walking away, not how to guide them to the best choice. Finance managers are under the same pressure. Instead of focusing on fair deals, they're told to increase interest rates, sell add-ons, and include extras like tire protection plans, whether the buyer wants them or not. Every dollar matters. Every sale is a chance to squeeze out more profit, and customers can feel it. Many walk in, hoping to browse, and walk out feeling stressed and tricked. Some decide not to come back at all. But there's an even bigger threat that could change everything: the idea that customers don't need dealerships anymore. For a long time, if you wanted a Harley, you had no choice. You had to go to a dealer. That's starting to change. More buyers are saying enough is enough. They're tired of being pressured, tired of the fees, and tired of the games. Online buying is growing fast. Harley-Davidson has already tested this with its electric line. Buyers can pick a bike, see the price, and make the purchase online. No back and forth, no hidden fees, no stress. It's simple, clean, and honest. And for younger buyers, this is exactly what they want. They're used to shopping online, getting clear prices, and not dealing with pushy salespeople. Traditional dealers can't compete with that. Change is coming. Dealers who refuse to adapt will close their doors. Even the ones that adjust will need to give up the tricks they've used for years. But even that may not be enough. A new kind of purchasing process is on the way, one that could completely overturn the industry. And dealerships may not be ready for it. They won't be able to control it, and they won't be able to survive it by doing what they've always done. The old way is fading, and a new era is speeding toward them, whether they like it or not. A culture fading fast. The world of motorcycles in America was ruled by the baby boomer generation long before now. They weren't just riders, they built something much bigger. They turned Harley-Davidson into a symbol. They formed clubs, hosted rallies, and made motorcycling part of everyday life. Riding wasn't a weekend hobby, it was who they were. But time has moved on. That generation is getting older, and the motorcycle industry is starting to feel the cracks. The heart of the industry is aging, and no one is taking their place. Decades ago, half of all Harley riders were in their early 30s. That number dropped fast. In the early 2000s, fewer than 20% of buyers were under 35. The average age kept going up. At one point, it hit 48, and Harley stopped sharing the number. It's no mystery why. Older riders are giving up the road. Dealerships, once packed with their most loyal fans, are feeling the loss. Bikes that once flew off the lot are now stagnant. The groups and events that brought riders together are shrinking. The energy that built the scene is fading, and younger generations aren't stepping in. Millennials and Gen Z live in a world that's harder in many ways. They carry student loans, deal with high rent, and face low wages. A brand new motorcycle, priced at $25,000 or more, is an expense they can't even consider. For many, bikes are no longer exciting or cool. They're seen as dangerous, unnecessary, and outdated. Things like ride-sharing apps, remote jobs, and city living have made owning a vehicle feel more like a hassle than a dream. Fewer people even get driver's licenses now, let alone imagine themselves riding down a highway on a Harley. Without new riders, everything built over the decades starts to fall apart. And this is more than just numbers. What once felt like a lifestyle now feels like a fading memory. Social media feeds that once buzzed with videos of road trips, custom bikes, and friends cruising together are now silent. The stories, the worn leather jackets, the shared identity, they're being pushed out by rising costs, high-tech dashboards, and missed payments. And the harshest part? The next generation isn't coming to save it. They're not jumping into the saddle like the boomers did. They're not buying motorcycles. They're not joining clubs. And they're not going to the events. It's not just about money either. The culture itself has shifted. Owning things doesn't matter like it used to. People don't dream about freedom through ownership. They stream it, rent it, or scroll past it. Cars are just tools now. Motorcycles are seen as old-fashioned. The call of the road has been replaced by apps and algorithms. For many, that sense of adventure is no longer part of daily life. It's something distant, maybe even unreachable. Still, some people are trying to hold on, especially dealers, who once sold bikes faster than they could stock them. If things don't change soon, the industry won't just shrink, it might fall apart completely. Not because people stopped riding, but because the world they built the ride for no longer exists. The soul of riding. Electric motorcycles are changing the riding world, but not in the way many had hoped. On paper, they look like progress. They produce no emissions, need less maintenance, and offer quick acceleration. But something important is being lost in the process. The heart of riding is slowly disappearing. Riding a motorcycle has always been more than just getting from one place to another. It's been about feeling the road, hearing the roar of the engine and being part of a tradition that stretches back for decades. Gas-powered bikes bring a sense of excitement and connection that goes beyond their physical parts. The sound of the engine, the shift of gears, the pull of the throttle, these are what make riding feel alive. Electric bikes take much of that away. There's no roar when the motor starts, no gears to shift through, and no deep rumble under your seat. What's left is a smooth and silent ride. For some, this feels lifeless. The riding experience becomes distant and flat. Even though electric bikes are fast, they often feel empty. The problem goes deeper than just how a bike sounds or feels. Many electric motorcycles today can't go very far on a single charge, usually between 100 to 150 miles. That's enough for short trips or commuting, but not nearly enough for longer rides, weekend getaways, or cross-country adventures. These are the kinds of trips that define motorcycle culture. Riders want to travel, explore, and experience freedom. They don't want to worry about where the next charging station is, and finding a place to charge can be a real problem. While electric cars benefit from more charging stations each year, electric motorcycles are often left out. They can't use many fast-charging networks, either because of software issues or design problems. This means riders are stuck waiting for slow charges or planning their routes around the few places that support their bikes. Cost is another huge issue. Most electric motorcycles today are priced between $20,000 and $30,000. That's much more than many gas-powered bikes. Even with some help from government programs, they're still too expensive for most working people. For new riders, the high cost makes them seem out of reach, and the way they're marketed doesn't help either. Instead of speaking to longtime riders or those who love the culture of biking, many electric motorcycle ads focus on clean energy and tech-savvy lifestyles. These ads are aimed at a new type of customer, one who may not even ride, but they ignore the people who've kept the motorcycle world alive for years. The message feels unexciting and out of touch with what riding is really about. Riding used to be simple. You had a machine you could understand and fix yourself. You could feel every turn, every bump in the road. But over time, that sense of control has faded. Bikes now come loaded with sensors, electronics, and software that most riders don't want or need. It's harder to make simple repairs. Riders are being pushed to rely on dealerships for even basic fixes. Modern motorcycles are turning into machines that you can't really connect with. Instead of being something personal and dependable, they're becoming tools that need software updates and digital checks. Riders are no longer able to build a close bond with their bikes. The feeling of trust and ownership is slipping away. Bikes are becoming products, not companions. And the people who care about riding the most are being pushed aside. But not all hope is lost. There's still time to bring back what made motorcycles special in the first place. Producers need to start listening to real riders again. That means building bikes that are strong, simple, and affordable. Not flashy, overpriced models packed with features no one asked for, but practical fun machines that regular people can fix in their garage. Dealers also need to change. Trust has been broken, and it needs to be rebuilt. Honest pricing, clear information, and respect for the customer should be the new standard. Riders today are smart. They don't want tricks, hidden fees, or expensive add-ons. They want to be treated fairly. It's also time to think about the next generation. Young people need bikes they can afford and enjoy. The message should be about freedom, not social media buzz or slogans. Riding should be shown for what it really is: a way to escape, to feel alive, and to join a community of people who understand the joy of two wheels and an open road. The road ahead doesn't have to be cold and digital. With the right choices, it can still be wild, thrilling, and full of life. The motorcycle world just needs to remember what made it great and fight to bring that spirit back. If you enjoyed this video, like and subscribe, and also click the next video shown on your screen.